Douglas, if you would give us a 1-minute introduction. Is this working? It's on. It's on the barrel. Just flip it on. Lights on. Is that better?
Is that better? There we go. Yeah, there we go. Hey, thank y'all for being here tonight. I'm John Douglas, Republican candidate for District 1 Board of Commissioners. I have a vision for District 1 that we're going to maintain and improve the quality of life we have over there, and this is the way that we're going to do it. Number one, we're going to welcome Baxter to the 1st District, but at the same time, we're going to maintain the land use plan that we have that keeps the 1st District rural and semi-rural and keeps a great quality of life over there. In conjunction with that, we're going to keep the 2-acre minimum lot sizes that we have on the east side of the county. And I will tell you this, that as long as I'm commissioner, I will not, under any circumstances, vote to rezone any land in the 1st District for apartments or condominiums. We're just not going to do that. We need to start giving our county employees cost of living pay raises again, particularly our deputies and our firefighters who put their lives on the line for us every day. They need to be paid commensurate with what they're earning. Down in Mansfield, we have a serious problem with Georgia Transmission. If you're familiar with them, they're building a high voltage power line through Mansfield. They have eminent domain authority, and no regulatory body oversees Georgia Transmission. If you have eminent domain authority in the state, you need to have some sort of regulatory body overseeing what you're doing. And finally, I want to be a hands-on county commissioner. The other jobs that I've been elected to, I've made full-time, even with part-time pay. That's what I plan to do as county commissioner to make it successful. Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Good evening. My name is John Strauss. I'm grateful for everyone else who has come out tonight to learn about your candidates. I'm excited about this campaign. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed getting to meet people. I've enjoyed learning about the important issues that are facing Newton County and District 1. And those issues are going to be addressed tonight substantially. They involve a good bit of planning that has gone into what is going to be what is known as the 2050 plan. You will hear a lot about that. I hope we'll have enough time to give you an overview of what that plan involves, because I think a lot of people are going to be surprised about what some of the details of that plan call for. But the vision of that plan as it applies to District 1 is that the rural area and the agricultural area that is loved so much in District 1 will be protected. And it will be protected by specific zoning steps that are taken that will control density in particular areas. And we'll talk about that a lot more. But the beauty of that is sort of consistent with our campaign. One of our themes for our campaign is unity for community. The very room that we're in right now is a room in which people come to collaborate and work together. That is the theme of our campaign. That is what happened with the 2050 plan. The stakeholders got together in this very room and worked together to come up with a plan to save Newton County, to prevent urban sprawl, to grow our economy, and to deal with the fact that in 40 years we're going to have 400,000 people here. And so I look forward to talking to you more about how all that's going to work. Thank you.
You can remain standing.
Okay.
Is this on? Can y'all hear me? Okay. We will rotate questions back and forth, so you'll go first on this one, Mr. Douglas, you'll go second, and then vice versa. Mr. Strauss, I was in a meeting today giving us an update on the Baxter timeline and such. The state of Georgia told us that in the history of Georgia, this is the largest project in life science ever. Consultants have told them that that project was truly the envy project of the world. It started out as an international project and landed right here. I'm curious, that being the case, talk to us a little more detail about how you plan to protect the future of District 1 in light of the Baxter announcement and your vision for that.
Let me say first of all that Baxter, it's been described as a game changer, and in a lot of ways it is a game changer, but it's also the fruition of a game strategy, a well-planned game strategy, and Baxter is the result. And the people who are involved in that deserve a great deal of credit. Now, what is that going to do to District 1? Well, first of all, again, we have to go back to the 2050 plan. The 2050 plan envisioned Baxter being there. Stanton Springs, a collaboration of various counties working together, sticking together through the Industrial Development Authority to maintain Stanton Springs for a number of years. The result is Baxter. Now, obviously, Baxter is going to be bringing money into our community. It's going to be bringing people into our community. Those people are going to need a place to stay. And so our job is to sell them on Newton County. We don't want them going down to Morgan County, to Mansfield, to live down there. So we have to sell them on Newton County. We want not only their tax money, but we want their involvement in our community, to become part of our community. What that does as far as the immediate area, that was already planned before Baxter ever announced. That Hub Junction area is scheduled to be what we call a compact community under the 2050 plan. That compact community is designed to focus high-quality retail, commercial, mixed living uses in that area, so that the remainder of the area of District 1 will either be rural or agricultural. The development standards that we apply to that process and the mixed-use communities that we create in that process are the types of activities and developments that will keep the Baxter people here. Thank you.
Same question, Mr. Douglas.
I can't think of a better time to have an experienced hand on the wheel than with Baxter coming in here in the 1st District. And here's the reason why. This is going to be like walking a tightrope out there to make sure that they're welcome and make sure they have the resources that they need and make sure that they have everything that has been promised to them over the course of these negotiations in order to make them a part of our community. But at the same time, you look around the walls in here and you see the 2050 plan and the land use plans that we have for the 1st District, and we have a high growth area there at Stanton Springs, and we have a high growth area at the Hub Junction, from the Hub Junction up to Perimeter College and I-20, and that's what we need to stick with. But if we fall off the high wire and we have all of a sudden uncontrolled growth over in the 1st District, then the people over there are not going to be real happy with that, and I'm not going to be happy with it because that's not the plan that we have in place. A lot of work went into making this plan. A lot of work went into deciding which areas were going to be high growth and which areas were going to be rural and semi-rural, and that's what we need to stick with over there in the 1st District. I happen to know from my experiences in the House and Senate all the key people in Atlanta, so when we need something, I know who to call. As a matter of fact, we'll talk about it here in a little while. I got transportation information today from some of my acquaintances at the Department of Transportation to talk about here tonight. But this is very key for the 1st District. People over there moved over there for one reason, and that's so they'd have elbow room. They would have room, quality of life to raise their families. They would have a quality of life that they could be proud of, and that's what they want, even with Baxter over there. And we can do that, but it's going to take an experienced hand at the wheel to be able to do it. Thank you.
You can keep the floor. Both of you have referenced the 2050 plan, and both in the context of it being the ability to both accept Baxter yet preserve the rural community. Will you address, you referenced it, if we don't fall off the high wire, your understanding of the 2050 plan and putting teeth into it to where it actually doesn't fall off the high wire. What would you do in District 1 to ensure that the 2050 plan was actually carried out and fulfilled versus just an idea and a concept?
Well, you stick with it. You have a Board of Commissioners that says, yes, we'll zone for growth here around Hub Junction. We'll zone for growth over here at Stanton Springs and up around the interstate, up Highway 11 there between the Hub Junction and I-20, and we'll stick with it. It just takes the ability, to be able to say no sometimes. It takes the ability to be able to say, that might be a good development, but that's down Highway 11 towards Adams Circle or down towards Hodges Road down there. That's not in the land use plan, so we're not going to do it. You just got to have somebody up there that'll say no sometimes, say yes when it's appropriate, and say no when it's appropriate.
I think it's going to be a little bit more complicated than that. All right, first of all, when we talk about a compact community, you may have heard some of these figures, but through the use of compact communities, we're going to put 88% of the people involved in Newton County, 88% of 400,000 people on 33% of Newton County's land. The way that you do that is through the mixed-use communities that I said. And the idea that there's not going to be development on, first of all, the idea that there's not going to be development on less than 2 acres out there in District 1 while you're developing a compact community is just unrealistic. In fact, the idea that you're not going to have multifamily housing in compact communities, the very limited areas of compact community, that's just completely contrary to the 2050 plan. The reason why you're able to protect the rural areas and the agricultural areas is because you are condensing where people are living. You're also going to have, like I said, high quality commercial activity there. Schools are going to be part of it. Imagine that. Our kids are actually going to be able to walk to schools as opposed to having to get on a bus and ride a bus for an hour. That is the beauty of how all of this is going to work. The other difficult part of it, the real tightrope part of it is when you've got somebody who's on Highway 11 in this agricultural area, what is it you're going to offer them so that they don't want to sell their 100 acres to somebody who wants to develop it? That is where the difficulty of the 2050 plan will come in. That's why the ability for everybody to work together, not only in that area, but throughout the county, to be able to implement the 2050 plan, to actually pass the ordinances so that everybody recognizes the benefit of everybody following the plan. That plan was designed for our entire county, not just District 1, and it only works if we all work together.
I want to ask a quick clarifying question for Mr. Douglas, because I think we're drilling down to two differences. You had said in your opening comments that you would never allow multifamily. Mr. Strauss just talked about compact community zones and that very purpose.
I noted that, yes.
I'm sorry?
I noted what he said, yes.
Okay, would you like to address that?
Yeah, I would. I want it noted that Mr. Strauss just said that he would not go to the wall to maintain 2-acre minimum lot sizes and that he would not go to the wall to keep apartments out of the 1st District. So I want that duly noted that he just said that. So I will work to maintain 2-acre minimum lot sizes over there, and I will work to keep apartments out of the 1st District. I think that's a no-brainer. I grew up in DeKalb County, and I've seen Gwinnett County, what apartments and condos did to those counties. We're not going to have that in the 1st District if I have anything to say about it.
Mr. Strauss, you can address that, especially in your understanding of the 2050 and the compact community zones.
Well, it just doesn't work. There's no way you have the 2050 plan and you completely, first of all, that you say that there's going to be a 2-acre lot minimum, and you say that there's not going to be any concept of multifamily housing. And I didn't say apartments, actually. That's what Mr. Douglas said. We're talking about multifamily housing. Whether or not it's an apartment complex or not, we'd have to look at that issue. But multifamily housing is the 2050 plan. Mixed-use communities, that is the 2050 plan. There are condos over there in Clarks Grove. There are lofts over there in Clarks Grove. That's sort of the concept when we're talking about compact communities, only we're talking about expanding it. We're talking about adding high-quality commercial establishments, high-quality retail establishments. And if you're not accepting that, then what you're doing is you are asking for the very urban sprawl that we are trying to protect against to come all the way through District 1, because that is what's going to happen. The people who came up with that 2050 plan, and you know who was on that 2050 plan? Mort Ewing was the representative from the county on that 2050 plan. The reason why they came up with those compact communities was so that we wouldn't have the urban sprawl that it would necessarily follow if, in fact, you do what Mr. Douglas is suggesting.
Mr. Strauss, you can hold on to the microphone. Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes, I have been convicted of a crime. I had a DUI in 2002 in Rockdale County.
Okay, thank you for telling us. And if elected, you will oversee budget and policies. Is there anything about your past you feel the public should know?
With respect to budgets and policies,
Yeah, you're going to be setting budgets for the county. You're going to be setting policy for people to live under. Is there anything in your past that you feel like people should know?
I'm trying to, I think I was probably late on a credit card payment once.
Fair enough.
I mean, I don't know what you're asking. If you can direct me toward a specific instance, I will answer it honestly. I don't have any concerns about my ability to oversee a budget.
The question goes to character, and I thank you for that answer. Mr. Douglas, same question.
Well, I don't drink, so it'd be tough to get a DUI. Let me just say that one of the sayings that I like is the test of a man or a person's character is what they do when nobody's looking. When I was on the school board, I became a reading mentor at Fairview Elementary School for 3 years. I would go in there every Friday and help students learn to read. I had fifth graders, I worked with fifth graders that couldn't put a sentence together, could not read a whole sentence. When I was in the Senate, I was chairman of the Veterans, Military, and Homeland Security Committee. I made it my business to go out and visit military hospitals around this state to visit wounded, I get emotional about it sometimes, wounded young Georgians back from Iraq and Afghanistan, some of who had very grievous wounds. I went to more than probably 25 or 30 military funerals, not because I was told to or had to, but because I thought it was necessary and important for the state to be represented at the funerals of heroes.
Mr. Douglas, and I appreciate all that, but you really hadn't asked.
There's nothing in my, no, there's nothing in my background, but those things are in my background, but there's nothing, no law breaking, nothing like that, no.
Okay. Next question. In your opinion, has current District 1 Commissioner held the county back or saved us from trouble? How would you be similar and different in your decision-making and leadership style?
Mort Ewing is a friend of mine, and you know, I'm not going to stand up here, and frankly, when I saw you sent me that topic, you know, it disturbed me because I'm not going to stand up here and talk about somebody that's given the county 12 years and you know, has done that because he wanted to do it. I'd rather us look ahead. I'd rather us talk about the future rather than the last 12 years that have just passed. Let's talk about the next 12 years that are coming. Let's talk about how we want to keep the quality of life up in the 1st District in this county. Let's talk about how we're going to raise the per capita income in this county. You know, we're 124th right now out of 159 counties, according to Georgia Trend. You can't buy a decent suit of clothes in this county right now. When Belks left, that was the last business in this county that sold a nice suit of clothes. You have to go to Conyers or Athens to do that. If we can, when Baxter comes in here, if we can get some of those people to live here with an average $60,000 a year salary, then maybe we can get some decent clothing stores in this county. Maybe we can get out there at the Hub Junction, Applebee's or Longhorns or some other nice restaurants. But as long as we stay 124th in per capita income in this county, we're not going to have it. All we're going to have is houses in this county, no businesses. You know, the businesses that are here, like Ramsey's Furniture, is great. You know, he's managed to stay here and stay in business because of his dedication to Covington and Newton County. But the national chains are not going to come here until we get the per capita income up in this county, and that's what we need to work on.
Mr. Strauss, same question to you.
Well, do you want me to actually answer the question?
Please. Please.
Actually, not everybody has agreed with Mort Ewing. I've not always agreed with Mort Ewing. But to answer the question, I think he's actually done both. I believe that he has saved District 1 by holding us back, by controlling the development that would have otherwise naturally occurred. And then when development does occur, by causing that development to occur at new levels and new standards. I can't point to specifics of every single thing that he did in terms of those new development standards, but when you have a recognition of salvation of trees as part of the development, when you have deceleration lane, when you have sidewalks, street lighting, curb gutters, those are the type of things that were not the norm in Newton County. And he played a big part in terms of that norm. And he doesn't toot his horn that much, but he also played a big part in the negotiations that brought Baxter to Stanton Springs. And a lot of people probably don't know that. I'm personally grateful for the amount of time that he has taken with me as part of my campaign, the information, advice, and wisdom that he has given me. And you know, that would be my answer. Can I talk about all my service now?
Well, you have 1 minute to make your closing remarks.
Well, my closing remarks are that, yes, I did make a mistake 10 years ago. That was a period of time when I was separated from the Lord. And since that time, I have realized that I'd spent, good grief, probably 15 or 20 years drifting away from our Lord. And about 7 years ago, I started turning my life around. I became heavily involved in the church that my wife and I attend, East Ridge. I became heavily involved in missions at East Ridge. Since then, I've been on 4 mission trips to Mexico, 3 to Honduras. My wife and I have led several trips to Honduras. I'm involved on the growth group ministry team, which is our small group ministry team at East Ridge. My wife is heavily involved in the missions team at East Ridge, both locally, nationally, and internationally. And you know, I never got a paycheck for any of that service either, by the way. And so, yes, I recognize the mistake that I made, but that mistake awoke me to a much greater mistake that I'd made for many years, and that was being separated from our Lord. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Douglas, closing remarks.
Thank you all for being here tonight on a hot night. We appreciate your interest in what's going on in our community. This is not the time for, for an unknown quantity, and John's a great guy, but it's not a time for an unknown quantity at the wheel, with the hands on the wheel, with Baxter coming into the 1st District and with all that we have to do over the next few years to get ready for him. I've been the conservative voice of Newton County for 12 years when I was on the school board and in the House and in the Senate. I will not vote to raise your taxes. I haven't done that in 12 years. I'm not going to start now. I will be a common sense voice on the county commission. If I see something coming along that I think is something that we can't afford right now, or something that government shouldn't be doing, government should never do something that the private sector can do better, I'll say that. I've always done that. In 12 years in office, I've always done that, and I'll keep doing that. This is a time for us to look to the future. We have, standing alone among Georgians, except maybe for Oconee County, where Caterpillar is going, these 2 counties have the brightest future in Georgia right now. And this is something we need to build on. This is something that we need to take to the bank. This is something that we can be proud of. This is something that we must do right, because we will not get another chance to do it again. So let's go with the experience that we know. I have a record that I'm proud of that I'll use on the county commission. I would appreciate your vote July 31st if you live in the 1st District. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.